Yo, what up? This is the chef, and today we're going to be team building around the top 5 megas of Regulation MA. Now this is not going to be in any order, but however, we're just going to start right off the bat with a Mega Floette. Now, like I said, not in any order. However, this is considered the strongest Mega in the format, and I mean it's pretty obvious why, right? Its ability, Fairy Aura, not very exciting. However, it gives a 1.33 boost to all Fairy moves on the field. It doesn't seem exciting, but it's super strong. Another Pokemon that has Fairy Aura is the Xerneas. That kind of it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. I personally haven't played with Xerneas in a format just because I'm a newer player, but I've heard horror stories of Xerneas. Now, Floette has. Let me actually, and before we do movesets, let me talk about the stats. I think of it as like Fluttermane, how min-max Fluttermane is, right? You have the 155 special attack, 148 special defense, and speed stat is nuts, right? Same speed stat as Garchomp. Normally not going to run Timid on this Pokemon, just because you want to hit as strong as possible, or be as bulky as possible, right? And its bulk is honestly not bad. It's pretty decent, all things considered. Special defense is obviously very good. I don't need to tell you that. And the HP should be low, but the defense is honestly not bad. And if you run like a bold nature, then you just become incredibly bulky, right? Like maybe hit the jump at like here and then max that out. A couple special attack and then like speed. Let's maybe like put 1 point in special defense and boom, you have a set right here. Normally you're gonna be running like Moonblast, Dazzle Gleam for spread damage, Calm Mind as a boosting option, and Protect. You don't get Nasty Plot, I don't think. So Calm Mind is your only option, which is you're not mad about, right? Like getting the special defense boost is really nice. I have seen like Draining Kiss options come up as well. I think Moonblast is more popular, but Draining Kiss is also an option. These would be like on the bold sets, right? To be super tanky and just heal a bunch. But normally you want the high base attack, especially with like the 0.33 boost that Fairy Aura gives. Calm Mind isn't the only option, obviously. Obviously you can run like coverage moves like Energy Ball, Giga Drain, it looks like. But I would just stick with the Fairy moves if I was y'all. It can run Light of Ruin, which is fun. It can miss, but it has like recoil. I don't know if this 1/2 means like it takes half your HP. Maybe that's why no one's using it. I've never used it. I also think that Substitute could be really strong. Just because like it's decently fast, it's decently bulky. Its HP isn't the best, but like if you get a free turn with it, Floette under sub could be insane, right? More insane than like a Calm Mind, I think. Partners you want to pair up with Floette, I would say like Incineroar is like an obvious one, maybe Arcanine for the Intimidate value because Floette does have less defense, which is super unfortunate for it. Sinistra is also another one just to keep it healthy with Calm Minds. But this is like setup balance. I think that a stronger form of Floette is actually just good stuff balance. This means like just like pairing it up with like just the top meta threats like Sneasel, Garchomp, right? Just more stab options is what you want with Floette, right? Basket Legions here, and King Gambit. All these Pokemon are just good, solid stats, and just have like different typings from Floette, and Floette is lacking coverage, which is its main weakness. And like I said, like in like a low power format, you don't really need the support. In Floette with like a bold nature is also like pretty good. Obviously, I think like Modest is probably going to be the most popular, but yeah, I think Mousehold is also a really good partner for the Floette. With Friend Guard, it just boosts Floette's survivability, and with Follow Me, of course, you have Super Fang and Mega Floette. Honestly, its Moonblast is chunking like things for half. So if your Mousehold is faster with Super Fang and your Floette is just trained decently fast with the Mousehold, I think you can pick off some KOs with Moonblast plus Super Fang. Super fun with that. But yeah, I think this team, something like this, could be kind of solid. I think Floette's decent on weather teams, right? Like sand teams specifically. That's probably like your option here. Like X-Drill is also like a really good stab option, I would say. However, I think the balance stuff is way better. If you wanted to run it with like the sand core, like with Sinistra, I think would be here. You could. I think Fairy and Fire coverage is really strong. So like the ideal would be like Charizard Y or like Torkoal, I guess. But like Torkoal's not like you normally don't use Torkoal for Sun. Charizard Y is a premier Sunsetter. However, they're both Megas, obviously. So it kind of feels awkward there. I can totally see Floette being a secondary Mega for Charizard Y though. Like why not, right? With like Whimsicott, with Sunny Day, totally see that. Next, I want to talk about Mega Gengar. Now, Mega Gengar has, I think, one of the more infamous Megas. That's mainly because of its ability, Shadow Attack, being one of the strongest abilities in the game. Basically, what it says is, hey, you're trapped in here. You can't switch. You can't manually switch unless you're a Ghost type or you're pivoting route, right? Like a Parting Shot or a U-turn. This utility is great as just an ability, right? Things like Sand Tomb or like Whirlpool have seen played just for the trapping effect, but Shadow Attack just does it. And Gengar is like decently bulky, right? Normally you want your Shadow Attack user to be bulky. If you train it to be bulky, it can be bulky, right? You just max out its HP right here. And the 6-7, sorry, excuse me, get on track. And like maybe be like decently bulky, like a couple points in special attack. You want to maybe hit like 161 speed here, and then like even these out. Maybe like be calm, something like this, right? Or you can just be offensive with double stab with Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, I think Substitute's super popular, but I think Icy Wind is also very viable. Every Mega Gengar set though does want Protect, just because like not only are you just like you can be strong, right? You can be trained strong. However, like its ability is just so good for utility. Just having Protect, keeping you safe for a turn, super important. It gets Substitute, Icy Wind for speed control. I think is pretty decent. Also for the damage, right? There's like Garchomp and Hydreigon running around. I think it gets Disable. Disable is really good into the choice mons, but also like if you're scared of like a stray psychic move, I think you're faster than like Alakazam. I think Alakazam might pick up into usage, or Gardevoir as well, right? You want to disable the psychic on the Protector. What else is it good? Dazzling Gleam is pretty good coverage. The main thing I think most people are going to be thinking about is Perish Song. Perish Song's not going to be on every Gengar set. However, I think it's a really strong option. Perish Song might seem gimmicky. However, with Gengar, it's actually super strong. Normally, a Perish Song user is like your partner, while a Shadow Tog user is a separate Pokemon. However, Mega Gengar is like the package in whole. Like it's its own thing, right? Fraternal twins, if you will. But yeah, Perish Song with like Mega Gengar is super strong. You just click Perish Song with like a Fake Out user, like say Incineroar, with damage nullification is really cool too. Click Perish Song, Fake Out, Protect both, and then you can like pivot out the Incineroar, switch out the Mega Gengar on the same turn. While you parting shot the Incineroar, you just bring in Gengar, and then boom, they're all dead. All your friends are dead, right? This is very simplification of the strategy, but that is why having your Shadow Tag user and your the same as your Perish Song user is insane. Actually insane. I see like I said, Incineroar and Sinistra being like good for the Perish Song stuff. Like if you just want to build balance, I think it's very good on rain teams, mainly for the Shadow Tag, right? But excuse me, I am blanking right now. Excuse me. Let me just. Mega Gengar on rain teams is especially really strong because you have Shadow Tag, so you can kind of Shadow Tag the you can kind of trap the opposing weather with your weather, right? Because like this format's very Weather War heavy, but with Shadow Tag you can just trap them in, say like a Charizard Y, just trap them in and then switch in Pelipper right after. Archulidon's really strong here too. And not only that, with like the trapping effect of Shadow Tag, you can use like damage nullification like Snarl, or even like Incineroar Intimidate's just super strong here with Parting Shot. These things will stick because they're trapped on the field. Normally you'd want to like, I think King Gambit's pretty decent here, just to hit the dark types that, or not the dark types, excuse me, the ghost types that are immune to the Shadow Tag. But yeah, I think Gengar is just super strong. With the Perish Song aspect is just a secondary option, and obviously like the rain mode is more popular because of Politoed with Perish Song as well. I think Perish Song Politoed is kind of the only unique thing that Politoed can do in this format, unfortunately. So that's kind of the main reason you'll see Politoed. If it's like close team sheet, then if you see Politoed with Gengar, just expect the worst. Next up is Delphox. Now Delphox before like release, before like we saw the ability being Levitate, and a lot of people were actually disappointed. They thought that Mega Delphox was going to be bad. The idea was Psychic Surge teams with Expanding Force Delphox. They thought it was really strong, which makes sense. 159 special attack and the fastest Expanding Force user you could find would have been Delphox. And Fire Psychic typing like on expanding like you see Armor Rouge already. The only downside is that you have to set up Trick Room with it. But Delphox can just outspeed everything naturally, right? However, it gets Levitate, so Expanding Force style teams wouldn't be the best idea. However, I think it does like Expanding Force still works. It just doesn't get the boost. It just doesn't get the boost from like being a Psychic type, being like a Psychic type move, but it still like hits both. I'm like 90% sure. User on maybe I'm wrong. However, I always thought Delphox was gonna be good, not only because its stat spread is really good. Like again, like Flutter Mane based like stat spread. Fire Psychic Stab is insane. It hits everything for neutral if you didn't know. And Levitate is just like another immunity. Normally, like Fire Psychic is pretty bad defensively. It's really good offensively, but defensively it's pretty bad. Getting rid of one of your weaknesses to ground, which is very common typing. The most common typing of the weaknesses, I would say. It's also weak to water, and it's also weak to dark and rock. Those three. But now you're immune to the ground type moves, which is great. But yeah, Delphox is insane, I think. Yeah, this special attack is nuts, and this is like one of the faster megas as well. You can honestly like naturally outspeed like Garchomp, I believe. Like, oh, you have to be timid. Unfortunate. But yeah. You can run like Heat Wave here. Normally you run Heat Wave, single target Psychic Protect. And the fourth move is normally up in the air, right? You can run coverage moves like Energy Ball. It doesn't get Energy Ball. I did not know that. Shadow Ball for sure. I know it gets. It looks like it gets Mud Shot. If you're running Mud Shot, you're doing something wrong. Single target Flamethrowers will be really strong here too. However, I don't think you need all this. Maybe if Aegis/Wide picks up, you want the Flamethrower. I think Encore is really strong, especially like on a fast mon like Delphox. That pressures offensive pressure. You can pressure them into clicking Protect, like that kind of stuff. Substitute's also really cool on passive turns, right? Protect, it punishes Protect, but also lets you click Fake Out with Delphox on the field. And set up the Substitute, right? Makes you immune to like the Spores and stuff like that. Not Spores, excuse me, Sleep Powder. Mega Delphox normally wants to run with like good stuff offense, right? Maybe like one support Pokemon like Clefable or Mousehold. Maushold has really nice synergy where it's obviously Friend Guard, but also is immune to the Ghost type moves that Delphox is weak to. And Mega Delphox is resistant to the fighting moves that Maushold is weak to. Maushold obviously with Friend Guard. I think Clefable is also really nice next to Delphox. Like with Sneasler is like Clefable's worst nightmare, but Delphox naturally outspeeds Sneasler and can click Psychic. I believe that White Herb Sneasler is picking up. It might become Focus Sash again, but I think White Herb is the most popular set. And you can just click Psychic before the White Herb gets activated, which is really nice. Just one-shot it. And Clefable can just stay safe, stay healthy with this Citrus Berry intact. And do its Clefable things. Follow me, other things that's coming at the Delphox. Basque Allegiance, also a really good Pokemon. Next to Delphox, it just hits everything that Delphox... once they have like perfect type synergy, I would say. Maybe like against Ghost, but then that's where Maushold comes in. Kingambit's also a really nice combo. The most ideal thing with Levitate is that you can like click Earthquake next to it with Garchomp. This is a really strong stab combo as well, ground and fire. You see it with like Charizard Y comps, right? So I still think this is very viable. I don't think the winning tournament on Limitless Tour ran the Garchomp. However, I think it's still a strong option nonetheless. I think Whimsicott's also an interesting Pokemon next to Delphox. You're not normally like sad to have less speed, but I mean you can like match Tailwinds with the Whimsicott here. Yeah, I think this is a pretty strong comp, honestly, all things considered. Maybe Talonflame is also pretty cool. I'm just looking at the Garchomp. Take like Earthquake next to, or Rotom could be also really cool. But yeah. Now, obviously, we're going to be talking about Charizard Y in the last slot. However, I wanted to talk about Froslass or Tyranitar. I think both are really, really strong right now. I do think Mega Froslass is stronger. Maybe not stronger, but it's being used. It's more interesting to talk about. Let's say that. I think Mega Tyranitar is really nice on sand teams. A secondary option. I don't think you need it on sand teams, but Mega Froslass is the premier snow setter. What can Mega Froslass do? So obviously it sets up Snore Warning, a great ability. Snow got buffed in Gen 9 to where it gives Ice types a 50% defense boost, which is great because Frostlass's defense is significantly lower than like all of its other stats. And it just makes it incredibly bulky, right? Especially behind like an Aurora Veil type of thing. And not only that, you can just spam Blizzards if you don't want to do like a passive turn. You can just run like Bold, like I did with the Floette before. Bold, get super boosted by the snow already. Spam Blizzards, spam Shadow Balls. Maybe even be Nasty Plot. It gets Nasty Plot in this gen, I think. I think that was a new addition from ZA. Obviously, Protect is really important. It can also run Thunderbolt as well. I think like a triple stab option here is really strong. Just Blizzard, Shadow Ball, and Thunderbolt. You might want to forego Protect as well, actually, because you're immune to Fake Outs. So like Aurora Veil here is really, really strong. Its speed stat here is also really nice at 120. It's faster than like a lot of the 100 speed megas. It's faster than Garchomp, so maybe you want to run like, you always want to outspeed Garchomp, right? So maybe a timid set with like faster than Garchomp. How fast? I'm pretty sure Garchomp is like 187, but I could be totally wrong there. Garchomp here. Could be totally wrong. It's 169. Why did I think it was 187? I have no idea who's 187. But it is not Garchomp. It is not Garchomp. So yeah, you just run like 170 here. Max out your special attack and then like decently bulky, right? Just like kind of do something like this. And I think that's really strong. Normally, Froslass can be used as like on a snow teams, right? Like that's the idea normally. The best Pokemon to take advantage of snow, I don't think it's a Titans in the game, right? No. Is Rotom, Refrigerator. Rotom Frost doesn't get any like usage normally, but in this format with like little hail or blizzard spammers, Rotom's pretty good. You just run like Neville Ice or Choice Scarf. I think both are viable. You spam blizzards and Volt switches probably, or like Electro Webs could be kind of cool. The idea obviously is like electric and ice have like perfect synergy. Bolt Beam, if you had never heard of that combo, pretty strong there. And then like yeah. I mean like I can totally see people like running like bulky Rotom. I don't think that's the idea, and because like electric ice isn't the best defensive typing, and you just want to hit hard with Rotom. Like you can run like a berry on this thing maybe with like Will-O-Wisp, but Froslass is normally doing the heavy lifting with like bulking your team up with a Royal Veil, so I don't think Rotom needs to do that stuff. So teams like you'd run it like with a Arcanine Hisui, maybe a ground typing Garchomp, and Cinnamon might be a problem, so you just like run a Defiant user like Kingambit with steel typing is really nice. I think a more interesting comp with Froslass is actually Palafin. Now Palafin, I don't think it's gonna get too much usage in this format, but behind a Aurora Veil, it can switch out pretty freely. Without taking too much damage to your back mons, right? Froslass can also spam like Blizzards that Palafin does not like, right? Like Blizzard hits the grass types and the dragon types that Palafin kind of struggles to take care of, especially Sinistcha, right? Palafin also hits the rock types and mainly just rock types that Froslass does not like. It also can hit dark types as well that Froslass is weak to with close combat. Palafin normally you'd want to run it with like Arcanine, right? Arcanine, Sinistcha is probably like a good idea, and then I think Kingambit's also really good, and then maybe just Sneasler for a fast fake out and just burst damage, right? Something like this I think could be really strong. And last but not least, is Charizard Mega Y. I don't know why. I guess, I mean, like, it's just, the naming is very conventional with Showdown, I guess, but it's very fun to look at. There's no surprise, right? Mega Charizard Y is insane. I should have mentioned it with Floette, but with the lack of Assault Vest, special attackers are just able to run wild. It's not really a fast Snarl user. I mean, I guess there's Hydreigon, but if you're putting a Hydreigon in front of a Floette, you're doing something wrong, right? But anyways, Mega Charizard Y with Drought, its Heat Waves just hurt, man, and even without that, this 159 special attack is nuts. Normally you're going to run like a Modest Nature as well, just to make sure your Heat Waves hurt even more. You don't really run Timid. I can totally see Timid, but with like Whimsicott, I don't think you need it. And with Venusaur, like your Drought is like boosting, so like your Drought is boosting Chlorophylls and Prankster Tailwinds, right? Like, so I don't think you need the Timid nature. However, I do think like you do want a solid amount of speed, just to outspeed maybe other Charizard Ys. I really like the idea of like a bulky Charizard Y as well, just because you hit so hard anyway, so like you might as well run some bulk, right? Like you run like the minimum, you hit the lowest bump, and then you hit like, you go like max bulk, like some speed, right? Like maybe like, I know like 124 is a good speed set, so let's speed creep that, and then just like rest in bulk, right? Just even this out kind of thing. I can totally see this being good. Heat Wave, like I said, is really strong. Weather Ball is also a great option for single target damage. I can totally see Air Slash picking up, but the most popular set is definitely Solar Beam. But normally it's one or the other, right? You definitely want to run Protect for the stray rock slides coming your way. It unfortunately doesn't get Tailwind, like most people were thinking, because it got Tailwind like in the past generations, but in Scarlet and Violet, I think they took it away. Or it was Sword and Shield. I never played those games, but when I would play Nut decks, I saw Tailwind. And when I would play Scarlet and Violet, it didn't have Tailwind, so I was really sad. Overheat's also an interesting option. I don't think you would use it though, because like the Heat Waves, you just want solid damage with Heat Wave. Maybe Overheat for like burst damage, but honestly, Weather Ball is your burst damage, right? It does so much damage. I see Agent Power being decent, just hitting like opposing Charizards, just because Charizard is so popular. Obviously, you'd want to run Charizard with like other Sun users, right? Like Venusaur. I think Victory Bell is not bad, right? Obviously, you'd run one or the other. Whimsicott for speed control. In this case, you'd actually run like both Whimsicott and Venusaur, right? Or your Chlorophyll user in this case. King Gambit's really good in Sun teams just because Incineroar resists your fire moves, so it's an obvious bring for the opponent. So King Gambit can take advantage of Incineroar. Sneasel is just a great option for like a stabs, right? Fighting is really good for the rock types. And like, what else? Maybe Garchomp, right? Oh, definitely Garchomp for sure. Next to Mega Charizard Y, just spamming EQs. Normally your Scarf on these sets right here. You spam your EQs next to Charizard, and like Ground and Fire, I don't think have any switch-ins. Super strong. Also, I can see Charizard being on like Trick Room variants. The idea is that, well, I guess the idea used to be with Ursaluna, but Ursaluna's not in the game, unfortunately. So maybe Trick Room isn't the move with Charizard anymore, but I do think it's an option with like, maybe if you want like double Sun with like Torkoal. I don't think this is the best idea, but there is like Mega Golurk now, with like, you know, like not Torkoal, Golurk with like Earthquake and stuff like that. You can run it with like the Charizard and then Tailwind stuff. Like, I don't know, how fast are you? You're actually not, you're decently fast, so Golurk can actually run into like into Tailwind comps, so I don't mind that actually. Replace this with Ursaluna, but I guess if you're running Charizard Y, you don't really want to share the Mega slot, right? Right. But yeah, I don't think there's much optimization for the Charizard Y. I think it's just super strong. One thing I will say is that like you can run like duos. You can run like Charizard Y and Venusaur as a duo, and then like run let's say like Farigiraf and like another Trick Room setter, like, or not Trick Room, excuse me, like a sweeper. Like I think Purkle's fine. And then like another duo would be like, I have no idea honestly. But yeah, this idea is like interesting, like as a duo comp. Incineroar would be nice here for support. And then Garchomp maybe. Garchomp could be kind of cool here. So I guess this isn't really a duo, just like more like a balanced Trick Room set. But yeah, this could be pretty solid as well. Farigiraf can like take advantage of like blocking priority moves from Fake Out. Venusaur does like not to like run Protect because it has like a 4th move slot syndrome. It likes to run double, like triple coverage with like Grass, right? It can run like Leaf Storm. It can run Sludge Bomb, and it can also run Earth Power. But also it definitely wants to run Sleep Powder just for like the scare factor. Even if you're not clicking it, even if like you don't want to click Sleep Powder in case it misses, the opponent doesn't know that, so they're gonna be scared about your Sleep Powder Venusaur, and Sleep Powder can just swing games. You have to put yourself in position where you don't need to hit a Sleep Powder to win the game. And Venusaur is just really good at that with like triple stab. So Farigiraf is really nice to block Fake Outs here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I don't think there's much else to say about Charizard Y or any of the other megas. I might make another video about the underrated megas, so let me know if you want to see me talk about those. Super excited. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.